Ms. Cole's going to get us started. Thank you, Ms. Cole.
Yeah, welcome to our first ever course selection lunch and learn. How awesome is that? Before we get started, I would just like to ask, you'll kind of see some pens and green paper in the middle of the table, and that's really just for you as we're talking. If you could just jot down what questions pop into your head or what questions you might have. And I promise that we'll have time at the end to answer all of those questions. We're just thinking that maybe throughout the presentation we might cover some of those questions. So just in an effort to kind of get through and get you as much information as we can in this hour, if you would just jot those questions down, we'll make sure and get to those at the end. We would appreciate it. So course selection. In our jobs we wear a lot of hats, right? And I'm going to be really honest with you, course selection is one of my favorite hats. And Susan and I talk about this all the time. It's January, it's time for course selection. It's just a time that has such energy about it, right? Kids are excited, there's reflection going on, there's looking forward going on. I walked into Susan's office this morning, she's sitting down with the kid, talking about their 4-year plan, and kids are in and out of the counseling center and in and out of the CT office, just asking questions. Oh, I loved the course I was in. What can I do now? How can I dig deeper? Can I do an internship? Can I get a certification? Or quite the opposite. They might be saying, hey, I took this course this year, really wasn't for me. I'd like to kind of take a change or a turn in that pathway, and what options do I have? What different kinds of things can I look at? So it really is such an exciting time, like I said, filled with such great energy. So we're super excited to be here and share those opportunities with you too. But this year's course selection is kind of extra special. We're kind of referring to it as the no rank, now what season. And I know that you're all familiar that FISD has eliminated class rank for all of our students outside the top 10%. And we're really excited about the options that provides for them. But I want to take just a minute here and kind of back up and give you some history and kind of some updates on how that's going so far. So if I take you back to last fall, 2018, FISD kind of embarked on developing a 5-year strategic plan. In doing that, we created beliefs that would guide our actions, a call to action, goals that we would follow, and we really use that every day. Every decision that we make, every program, every course that we put into the academic planning guide, everything goes through that lens of the strategic plan. And so today, I want to talk about just one goal. Okay, one of those goals that came out of that strategic planning was goal number 2. We will redefine the measure of student success based on our beliefs and call to action. We believe in Friendswood that every student should have the opportunity, right, to create their own unique pathway built on their interests, their strengths, their passions. I was overhearing conversation just a few minutes ago, and somebody please give me a chart that tells me what to do and do this and then do that, and that doesn't exist, right? And that's really what we believe, is that each student, we want to be able to explore those their own pathways. The second bullet there that you'll see is we wanted to establish a system that eliminated class rank and cultivated each student's ability to do that, to follow their unique path. Remember I was telling you about the work we did on the strategic plan? I forgot to tell you that that committee was kind of made up of teachers, administrators, parents, community members, and most importantly, students. I need to tell you a little story. Those students in this bullet number 2, they kind of dug into that and wouldn't let go. Okay? They wouldn't let go until they were assured that that was going to be part of the fabric of the strategic plan that we were going to do. What they communicated with us was, see these things that you want on here? Authentic learning, measurable goals, learning exploration, finding your own pathway. Their communication to us was, that's not possible with that constraint of rank hanging around their neck, always having to be compared and making sure they were above the person next to them. And so that's where we're really excited that we were able to kind of follow the students' lead in there, and that's what we did. Ms. Myers last spring was one of the first action steps that we took in the strategic plan. Ms. Myers formed a committee. They did research from schools around the state, around the nation, and really kind of even look at some of our own data. One of those pieces of data that was found in that research that kind of really drove the action forward was the realization that 7/100ths of a point, 0.07, 7/100ths of a point, separated 70 students in our senior class. That's a pretty powerful piece of information, right? And that really gave us the evidence. That was definitive evidence that rank was a barrier, you know, for our students in being able to encourage them to choose, you know, to choose their own pathway. So it has been eliminated, and that committee kind of set forth several goals that they wanted to see come out of eliminating class rank. The first one of those goals is to create post-secondary benefits by kind of helping to level the playing field. I know that you know that we have high-performing students in this district, right? I was visiting with a student the other day that's in the 27th percentile and has a 3.98 GPA, okay? That student in multiple other districts around our state would easily be in the top 10% and not be having to worry about college admittance, right? So one of our hopes by eliminating class rank was that we would benefit students in this, sorry, it took me where to go, to hopefully be able to eliminate that challenge for our students, right? So we're kind of almost completing one full year of college application processes, and I'm really pleased to let y'all know that I've had less than a handful of issues that have come up with eliminating rank. And all we've done in those situations is communicate directly with that entity, and problem has been solved. So we're not in this to hurt any kids. So we have, but we anticipated way more than that. And it's just been such a minimal experience, so seamless, and so we're so pleased about that. So I wanted to be sure and report that to you guys, and we're looking forward to, in the spring, being able to try to gather some of that acceptance information and see how it really did impact our students. So that was the first thing. But the second two things are what we're really here to talk about today, all right? These pieces here, like I said earlier, we're so excited to be able to watch our students this spring choose courses and build a transcript based on things like rigor, okay, variety, experiences, and not just the comparison GPA points that might be attached to that course, all right? So we're really, really excited because I want to emphasize the point here too. We still are encouraging our students to build a quality transcript, right? It's just that everything that's quality doesn't have the word weighted GPA point in front of it, right? So we want them to build focusing on keeping that rigor high, keeping, you know, putting some experiences for themselves in there, putting a little bit of variety in that transcript. And so that was the second thing. And the last thing is to eliminate the awareness gap and provide opportunities for career preparedness. This awareness gap is kind of the they don't know what they don't know, you know, kind of piece. And I'm not going to talk too much about this because Susan's going to talk about this piece. But we have started kind of some work in this area. I don't know if any of y'all are parents of 10th graders, but before Christmas, we put out a survey to all of our 10th graders and asked them these questions. You know, what don't you know about? You know, what do you need more information about? AP and dual credit. Do you need more information about internships? Do you understand the benefit and what things, certifications and things can offer you? We asked them those questions so that they could let us know what they wanted to know about. So we took the information driven out of that survey, and last week we literally pulled every sophomore out of their English class and they went through some stations, okay? And the topics in those stations were driven by their survey responses. So I think we had one that was on dual credit and AP, one that was on internships, and one that was on certifications. And so today we're going to focus on the last two of those, and you'll kind of hear a little expanded version of what they heard that day. But if you're the parent of a 10th grader, make sure you kind of reach out and ask them, what did they learn from that? Because I'm sure they ran home and told you all about it, right? Okay. Yeah. So make sure and reach out and ask them about that. And before I turn it over to Ms. Kirkpatrick, I just want to share, I came across this quote the other day. I think it was in an article that Mr. Griffon had shared with us. And it really stuck out to me because it was really kind of captured exactly what it is we're talking about here today, okay? We have great students here in Friendswood, okay? And we have great teachers here in Friendswood. So they can go through a routine schedule and have routine learning, and they can master any standard that we put in front of them, all right? But that's not our goal, okay? Of course it's our goal, but in addition, we want our students to be able to master themselves, to learn about themselves, to explore, to find out what their strengths are, to look at different things. And so that's really what our goal and our hope is for our students graduating from Friendswood High School. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Kirkpatrick, who's our CT director, and she's going to kind of share with you the opportunities that we have at Friendswood High School to help them do just that, to master themselves.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cole. So CTE stands for Career and Technical Education, and that includes electives in agriculture, audio-video production, graphic design, business, marketing, finance, computer science, culinary, education and training, engineering, health science, and law. And so in CTE, it's not about making one choice for the rest of your life. And I know when we did 8th grade meetings with your students, and every year when we do choice sheets, that's exactly what it feels like to our kids. And that it's really a gateway to more and better choices, because what we want kids to remember is the skills that they're getting from their CTE courses, or from football, or from fine arts, are skills in collaboration and communication and solving problems that they can take into any field. So in bridging that awareness gap and helping kids understand what internships and certifications are all about, I gave them the example of Sydney. And Sydney was in health science classes all 4 years in high school. She took the practicum in health science her senior year. She went to a hospital for her internship, and she completed the certification requirements for a clinical medical assistant. And the hospital where she had her internship was so impressed with her healthcare skills, how she worked with patients, just her work ethic, that they offered her a job straight out of high school, knowing that her ultimate goal was to go to nursing school, but worked out a plan with her where she could go to school full-time and work part-time at the hospital. And then because she continued to do such great work for them, they ended up paying for her college. And she came back after nursing school to work at that hospital. So as I told the students last week, that's a huge, grandiose example of what can happen for a student who completes a certification and an internship, but it just opens up that opportunity and the possibilities for them. So in FISD, we're really working on focusing on career development and having activities at the lower grades on career awareness, and then at the junior high on career exploration. And it's our job for our high schoolers to help them prepare for a career. It feels like a lot of times we're helping them prepare for college, but hopefully they're not going to be in college for the rest of their lives. That's a stepping stone to get to a career. So we talked about their job is learning for work. And if they hadn't done a lot of career exploration yet to look into their interests and look into what their strengths are, or maybe learn about careers they hadn't even considered yet, that they should go to the FHS website, go to the Counseling Center page, and log into their Naviance account. Because that's not just where they go to do their college admissions work. That's where they go to research careers, and it gives them information about that career, what education is required, what school or program offers that training. It even gives them information about salaries, so they can take a look at, well, will this salary support the lifestyle I think I want to have? Just that awareness alone is outstanding. So, So we talked about internships, and I'm going to go through and show you in just a minute the internships we offer at FHS. But internships are really work-based learning experiences where students are going to have some time in the classroom each week and some time in a community setting with an industry or business partner that we've cultivated. That internship can be paid or unpaid. And it's really meaningful work. It's not just job shadowing. Before our students get to internships, a lot of our programs offer that job shadowing experience first. And it's a place where those students can show that they have the academic skills, the technical skills, and the employability skills to be successful. So the benefits of internships are that they are able to engage in that real world setting with business and industry partners. They can apply that classroom knowledge. They can find out where they're ever going to use geometry, for example. They can explore potential career options within that field that they maybe didn't know about, and then again develop those essential employability skills. The certifications, as I explained to the 10th graders last week, it's kind of like getting your driver's license. You go to the driving school, you practice driving safely, and you learn how to operate that vehicle. You study the rules of the road. You study the laws involved with driving safely. You pay your money, you take a test, and if you pass it, you get your license. Certifications work the same way. And as we go through each of our internship offerings, I'll talk about the certifications that are available. So what a certification does is it shows an employer or it shows a college that the students have grit, that they've mastered the skills in that career field, and they understand what they're getting into. They know what the day-to-day work in that career field is like. It helps students earn higher wages as they enter the workforce, like Sydney did when she went to work at that hospital. They develop their career interests and reach their goals. It's a ladder to success, and it helps them develop those critical thinking, problem-solving skills. And if they find out in that internship, ooh, this is really not for me, now that I know what that day-to-day work life is like, those skills that they've learned can follow them anywhere. So let's take a look from the academic planning guide. This year, the academic planning guide is going to look very different. If you've looked at the ones in the past, the pages in the back with all the offerings in CTE have been chart after chart after chart. They've been replaced with pages that look like this for every program of study that we offer. And they provide information for our students and their families about careers and post-secondary options that we've never offered to them before. So just like they always have, we have the career cluster, and in my example, and you have a full page copy of this, because I know the little tiny one is hard to read. Our career cluster is healthcare. This particular program of study is healthcare diagnostics. We're looking at the courses available in that program of study. It talks about the occupations that are available, the salary that's offered in that occupation, the number of annual openings, and the percent growth. And then it also provides our students with information about those post-secondary options. So it talks about what can you do with a high school diploma and a certification? What can you do with an associate's degree, bachelor's and master's, or if your goal requires a PhD. And really what I shared with the kids last week is look at these boxes here as stepping stones possibly to get to the goal or the career that you're looking for. So like Sydney walked out of high school with a certification that helped her get to her stepping stones of nursing school and eventually becoming a nurse practitioner. In the counseling center and in the CTE office, we have specific information about all of our certifications that give our students information about the job requirements for that certification, where you can go to work with that certification, even down to there are 150 questions on the certification test. You get 3 hours to take it, and the test costs $155. So if you have a student that's interested in a specific certification that we offer, please encourage them to come to the counseling center, and we'll be able to pull these sheets for them and get them that information. The teachers that also teach these certifications have this information at their fingertips as well. So what do we offer at Friendswood High School? In agriculture, our practicum in ag class, and all of our internships are found in our practicum courses. There are 2 credit courses, and we have 2 different types of practicum in agriculture. One is in ag, one is in vet med. So if we have students who are interested in becoming veterinarians or working in a vet clinic, they take that practicum in vet med class, and then at the end of the year, they sit for their certification test to become a veterinarian assistant. We have students in floral design that get certification level 1 and 2, and that allows them to work with florists, to work with event planners, wedding planners. If you've been to events here in the district where we've had flowers, all of our floral design students do those arrangements for us as well. In arts, AV, technology, and communications, we have a practicum in graphic design and a practicum in AV production. Those students in AV production produce MCS, our Mustang network, and do daily broadcast with all the announcements and things going on in FHS. And then our practicum in graphic design students this year are currently working with the Friendswood Public Library and doing all their social media marketing work for them. Our students in that career cluster get a Society of Broadcast Engineers TV operator certification, and that allows them to operate the big TV cameras that are like at TV stations or at sporting events, or drones with cameras at sporting events. And then they also get the OSHA safety certification that goes along with that, that says they not only know how to operate this equipment, but they know how to do it safely. In business, marketing, and finance, we have a practicum in marketing for marketing students. We have a business intern course, which is a practicum, where students go out and work for CPAs, they work at banks, they work at a lot of different businesses, generally a business that they're interested in. And then we, for the first time this year, have offered our Incubator Edu Course, which is a Shark Tank type course. So our students form teams, they develop a common problem that they want to find a solution for. They develop a product or a service to address that problem, and then they have been spending the school year working on developing their business and planning their business model. And we have had a tremendous outpouring of support from the Friendswood community. We have coaches and mentors who are coming in and working with those students on a weekly basis. And at the beginning of February, they're going to pitch for the first time to our Sharks, who are going to hopefully offer them seed money to get their prototypes and their next steps going in their business. And then in May, they will present to the Sharks for the final time for actual funding to start their business. So Incubator EDU is the first step in that course, and then next year we'll be adding Accelerator EDU for those students who did get funding to move on and get those businesses growing. We offer a Microsoft Office Specialist certification for our students to show that they're experts in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And then next year, for the first time, we're going to offer a Texas real estate license to our students. So they'll be taking a 2-credit online course during the school day with one of our teachers facilitating that through the Pioneer School of Real Estate. And then at the end of the year, once they've turned 18, they will sit for their realtor's license test, and we'll walk away from high school with that. So can they start selling houses? It is my understanding, yes. And then what we've also been told, we've been given examples of other things that students have been able to do. They have been running open houses for realtors on the weekends while they're in college. They've been doing the social media marketing for realtors while they're going to school. If they're interested in the construction architecture part of things, they've been working for realtors who flip houses and been on that side of the real estate market. So real exciting opportunity for our kids for next year. And that's for seniors only, but it'd be a great thing to plan for if you have students who are interested in that are making choices for their sophomore or their junior year this week. In education and training, our Ready Set 1 and Ready Set 2 teachers go out and teach in our Friendswood schools at each of the elementaries and the junior high. And they are not just there observing, they are prepping lessons on a weekly basis and working with our students in the younger grades. They get their Region 4 substitute certification while they're going through the Ready Set Teach program and can substitute in FISD. They are also, just wanted you to be aware of, they're guaranteed an interview with FISD if they come back after going through their teaching training program in college and certification program and apply for a job here. They are guaranteed an interview, which is a step up on any other applicant. In health science, our health science theory clinical students go out and have a job shadowing experience at the hospitals in a variety of settings. And then as juniors and seniors, they can take a practicum in health science class. That has currently been to earn the clinical medical assistant certification. And then next year, for the first time, we'll be offering an EMT certification. And so those students will be doing ride-alongs on ambulances and working in hospital emergency rooms and then sitting for that EMT certification test at the end of the year. But our students also earn patient care technician certification. They earn Teen Cert, which is a community emergency response team certification. That safety training that's specific to healthcare from OSHA. And then, like I talked about, the certified clinical medical assistant and EMT. In hospitality and tourism, our culinary students have 2 practicum opportunities. One their junior year and one their senior year. Their certifications are all about food safety. So they earn food handler and they earn Surf Safe certifications. They go out and work with restaurants, they work with caterers, they do catering within FISD in their program, and just do amazing work. Currently, our law and public service program has a practicum in law. Those kids go out and work in law offices. They go work with law enforcement if that's their interest. We don't currently have a certification in the law program right now, but we're working on that. And then in STEM, we have an independent study and mentorship ISM course. We have Project Lead the Way capstone courses in engineering, design, and development and in biomedical innovations. They're not traditional practicum internship double block classes. The state just offered for the first time this year the practicum in STEM, which we'll be adding on next year once the state curriculum for that course is developed. But for right now, our STEM students can do an independent study and mentorship. They can go work with a mentor in their field of study. If they're interested in medicine, we've had kids go to the health center and work with neurologists. We've had students go to universities and work with physics professors or computer science professors. So just about anything they dream in terms of an independent study, we can put together for them. And currently there are no certifications in STEM offered at the high school, but again, we're working on that. So what if, as we're going through this and you're thinking about your student, what your student is interested in is not offered at Friendswood High School? Or you know a 2-credit practicum course is not going to fit in their schedule and they really need a 1-credit option to have that kind of opportunity. Or if your student is a junior and you're worried about it being too late, please have them come talk to their counselor or come see me in the Career Support Center, because we could use ISM as an option for any of those students. We can look at project-based research where they research a topic of their interest, or if we have students who are interested in literally working part of the day and going to school, we have career prep courses that allow them to do that as well. Okay, Ms. Cole?
Thank you, Susan. Are you overloaded? There's a lot, right? I just want to say one thing before I go on to this slide, but I tell Susan this all the time. I had 2 of my own kids who went through and did internships in clinical health science practicums, and neither one of them ended up in the field of health science, but we wouldn't change those experiences for anything. The things that they learned, going out, making those connections, communicating with professional people, and the things they learned in that were really transferable, everywhere. I guess one kind of did. He went away from it and then came back. Now he's working to be a paramedic. So, yeah, so I would encourage you to kind of look at those options, and even if you don't see something that's perfect, just those experiences are beneficial. I think we kind of want to start to close today by talking to you about, some next steps in this area. I think it's clear that we are committed to removing any kind of barriers that we find for our students to be able to cultivate their own unique pathway. And so we are committed, we're continuing to do research in some different areas to hopefully even do more in these. But I want to talk about one in particular that we have been working on this year. And so I see an old academic planning guide here, but when you get that one out, compared to the new one that will be coming out tomorrow with your kiddos and course selection, you'll notice that a lot of the prerequisites in multiples of our courses have been removed. Because what we were seeing was that a student would come in and say, hey, we want to, take this pathway. Well, you don't have the prerequisite to do that. And so we were seeing it, provide barriers for our kids. So kind of what we did, remember what I said earlier, everything goes through the lens of the strategic plan. So looking through that lens of our beliefs, that we looked at every prerequisite. Now some we can't do anything about because they're put there by the state and we have to follow those. But anything that was locally put there that have been there for years and nobody even remembers sometimes why they were there, kind of really looking at all of those through, and we have removed a lot of those prerequisites. Sometimes we have left them in there as a recommendation, like we're saying that, oh, this class would be easier if they've had this class, but we're not going to eliminate your possibility of taking that course because of this prerequisite. So take a look at those. And like I said, just want to assure you that we are continuing to look at any different way that we can to remove those barriers for our kiddos. How'd you get that to move? Oh, there you go. Okay, I'm just going to close with this. It's your choice. All right? It's your choice. We get asked all the time, what's better? AP, dual credit. What do colleges want to see? Do they want to see a certification? Do they want to see an internship? What kind of internship do they want to see? Which one do they think is the best? All those kinds of questions that we get asked all the time. And I'm just standing here to tell you, like I told you before we even started today, there's no answer to those questions, okay? Those answers don't exist because it's different right now than when we went to school. It's very unique, and you have to look at every student is unique. All right, and they have their own unique talents, their own unique vision, their own unique post-high school plan. Everything is different from the person sitting next to them. And as you're trying to make these decisions with your students, you're going to get input from them. You're going to get input from their friends. You're going to get input from your friends. You're going to get input from counselors and teachers, and everybody has their opinion on what's the best thing, right? And all of that information is valuable because it's based on their personal experiences, right? So it's valuable information. Our wish for you, though, is that you take all that information, mix it together, really sit down and look at what your goals are with your students and make those decisions, and make those decisions based on variety, based on rigor, based on experiences that they need to establish their path forward, okay? That's our wish for you. Remember, it's your choice, not the person next to you. It's a different situation. So, all right, so we're really kind of done at this point. So I don't know if you've established any questions or if you have anything. We're happy to answer any questions that might be about this presentation or something different in course selection.
And some of the things you said, there's no certifications in the future. Will there be one, like for instance, the law? Will there be one? Are they all
Yes.
trying to come up with something? Or
We're planning on spending this next year researching that. For example, right now, one of the only certifications in law is, thank you. One of the only certifications in law is to be like an emergency dispatcher type person. And so we're just not sure what's all involved equipment-wise. That's a valuable certification for our students, and same with STEM. It's really worth researching what's the value in that certification. Is it worth spending the time away from curriculum to earn that certification, or does it really align with our curriculum? And when I showed you those program of study pages, they are aligned with Texas workforce labor market data that is high demand, high wage, high skill jobs. And that's what we want to make sure we stay aligned with as well. And one other thing I want to point out about those program of study pages is they're pretty daunting, and it's pretty, you know, it goes back to that slide where I said you're not in CTE making one choice that's going to stick with you for the rest of your life, but those pages make you feel that way. So if your student wants to pick one thing from healthcare and something else from engineering and a little bit of culinary, that's great. Please encourage them to do that as well, because they're going to learn life skills in all of those courses. They're going to benefit them in and out of the labor market. And like we talked about at the beginning too, any skills that they learn in CTE or football or fine arts are going to be skills that they can carry in any field, that collaboration, that communication and problem solving that they're going to be doing. More questions?
I have one question, sorry, and I asked the same one at the PTO meeting. So
That's okay.
for the parents that don't know anything about dual credit, can you explain which students are eligible to look at those grade-wise? And also, there's been some question about the parent meeting, I think it's this Thursday. If a parent can't make it, what are they supposed to do?
Okay, so first question is on dual credit. Any student, like sophomore year is when, junior year is when really the bulk of the dual credits begin to open up in U.S. history, psychology, sociology, and English now as well. And some math courses, but most of the math courses will be senior level. And so they're open, any student is open to do that. They do have to have a C average in order to be able to kind of start that process. And then once they start the process, there is a series of things that they have to go through, a process that they have to follow, because remember, it's a dual entity, right? And so they will register for it on their course sheet, but then they will also have to go through the College of the Mainland process. They will have to take a TSI, which is a college entrance exam, and they have to make a certain score on that. Depending on the course that they're taking, they'll look at like the math score or the English score, and they do have to make that certain score to show that they have the capacity to operate in a college level course, because they are college courses, right, that those students are taking. That's something that we have to remember there. And as far as the parent meeting goes, that will be Thursday night at 6 p.m. and it's all for new to dual credit parents. So if your student's already in dual credit, no need to attend. But if you cannot attend, then you can pick up that information in the counseling center after that.
That's just
I highly recommend that you go to the meeting though, because there's going to be lots of information that won't necessarily be in those pamphlets. I mean, with the stuff that you pick up is going to be just the basic how to do it, information.
So that's for sophomores that are gonna be juniors next year, that meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
that will be taking dual credit.
That,
Or it could be juniors to seniors if you haven't taken dual credit yet. All new to dual credit students, yes.
And that's at the high school?
At the high school in the cafeteria.
And I neglected to say too that the EMT course that is new is dual credit through College of the Mainland as well.
Yes.
So, this goes back to rank, but, so when you're applying for colleges beginning of senior year, summer before senior year, you're not totally sure if you're gonna make it in the top 10% or not, do you list your school as a school that does not count rank when you're applying for colleges?
Yes, but.
Can you repeat that question, please, for the audience?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so the question was, when you are applying to colleges the summer before or the beginning of your senior year, and you're not quite sure if you're going to be in that top 10%, do you report that your student does not rank? Okay, so my answer to that first would be a little different. You will know if you're in the top 10%, because when you're applying, you'll be applying based on the transcript that comes out of your junior year. So you will know in May or early June when you finish your junior year what your rank is and if you're in the top 10% or not. And so then you'll either have your rank reported with a certification of rank letter that we will provide saying that you're in the top 10%, or you will say yes, you are a non-ranking school.
Okay.
And then if that happens to, I'm just going to go one step further, if that happens to change mid-year of your senior year, then you will have already applied to your colleges, but most of them will allow you to reapply with new or different information. And so let's say like you applied, you were denied, right? And then come mid-year, senior year, now all of a sudden you popped into the top 10%. They will allow you to reapply with that new information. Okay, and then you would send that certification letter along with it. Yes.
So historically, in the last report card of the year, there's a line on there that says your rank, you are X student out of 513 or 512. Do you know what your rank is? Will that be there this May?
Not on the report card. Okay, what the report cards will look like is it will have all of your GPAs, all right? And then there will be a statement on there that says the bottom GPA in the top 10% of the class of 2021 is. All right, and that's just to kind of give people some guidance so that you can say, okay, this is the bottom one in the GPA, and here's mine. Keeping in mind that 0.07 of a point separated 70 students, you know, might give you some kind of information to help you kind of guide what that means, okay? But then as far as to know exactly what your rank is, we will tell you that as well. It'll just be on a separate document. For sophomores, it will be, for freshmen and sophomores, it will be on a notification letter that will be posted in the portfolio in the same place where your report card is. And for juniors and seniors, it will be a certification letter, because we don't certify your rank as being in the top 10% until that junior year ranking. Does that make sense? And on that letter, it says this is notifying you that you are 15 out of 512 in the class of 2021, whatever. Okay, great question. Anything else? Yes.
Can you tell me where your office is?
Yes. My office is located in the counseling center at the high school, so right at the front there. And Susan's is kind of more in the middle of the school. But
If you know where the girls' gym is, that little hallway just across from the girls' gym is there's a sign up that says Career Support Center.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Susan, quick question for you. You mentioned some of the research and some of the CT areas. Is there a timeline that you can speak to any of those areas?
For new certifications?
Yeah.
Definitely for the 2021-22 school year. So everything that's in the academic planning guide now are all the new things that we've added in for next school year that were approved by the board Monday night. So the continued research that we're doing would be formally for the following school year. However, if we come across something that we feel like would really benefit our students, we wouldn't wait that long.
Thank you.
I mean, you guys think this is a lot. It's a lot for us too. It's constantly, you can tell that this is really a fluid market nowadays, right? There's constantly new and different things coming down the pipe all the time, and just trying to kind of weigh, what's your words, the high
Demand,
thank you.
high skill, high wage.
Yeah, those with our audience here in Friendswood too. You know, audiences in different parts of the country, in different areas of the country will be different as well. So what appeals to us, like, might be more, it could be more oil, gas, energy area. We've been talking about that, versus other parts of the country might not be that. So it's balancing all of those things, and then what do we have the facilities and things to be able to handle, you know. We only have so much facilities and, you know, finances to be able to go around to, you know, promote all of these programs as well. So, yes.
If I could give some input, I'm kind of surprised we don't already have information technology, because that is just
It's part of STEM, so it's embedded in STEM computer science.
Yes.
Yes.
But I still think, and then you are gonna do certifications in the future, most likely. I'm just surprised we have it already, but it's just hindsight.
Right, and there's 2 new programs of study in computer science for next year. One is cybersecurity, and then the other one is pulled out separately as programming and software development. So you're exactly right. There are certifications listed, and that the ones that we don't offer are in the academic planning guide. So if your student sees something that they're interested in, please have them come visit with me, and we'll start investigating as soon as we can. Because those documents actually came from the Texas Education Agency, so they, with it, business and industry partners, looked at those certifications, and I didn't take them out if we don't offer them. I wanted students to be able to explore those as well, so good point.
Yes.
So I know we're talking Friendswood here and very professional and all that stuff, but we know that we have a huge loss of electricians and plumbers and HVAC. And it doesn't matter where you live, if you live in a lower economy area or a high economy area, you still need those. And
Yes.
my husband's an aircraft mechanic, an inspector, and they're already looking at, they're having, they're looking for more of these people coming in, because it's
Absolutely.
just not being promoted, and it's a good paying job.
Mhm.
And so what about those kids that are not academic,
Right.
but yet, you know, there's still a great amount of income to be made from having those trades, becoming a master electrician and having your own business or whatever. So what about those kinds of,
And that's also on our next steps list. That was part of the survey that we gave 10th graders. We asked them what fields they were interested in, and we were able to capture the names of the students that were interested in those very careers, or interested in aviation, or interested in maritime. So now our next steps are looking to where we can develop partnerships with community colleges, with apprenticeships in those cases, for students to move on in those fields as well. So it's definitely on the next step list, and we'll be contacting those students from that survey to find out where we need to go with them next.
And we do have a base level, you know, of that at this time, that, we have a partnership with College of the Mainland. So all of the courses that they offer there in drafting, welding, cosmetology, you know, several of those types of fields that we do partner with College of the Mainland. And so what our students do is they'll meet with their counselors and kind of make sure they have all their credits in line, you know, for graduation. And junior, senior year, we'll travel to College of the Mainland, take courses there. Those are dual credit courses that then transcribe back into high school courses as well. So we do have a baseline, you know, of those courses as well. And so working to build, you know, and remove those barriers for students to be able to do that, you know, also is very much on our agenda. So thank you for bringing that up. That was a great question.
So that's where going to you is, and then you bridge that gap to figure out how to get to the requirements.
Yes, ma'am.
And if there's something that like College of the Mainland doesn't offer, I mean, we've had students come in and say, you know, we want, you know, whatever it is that they want that College of the Mainland doesn't offer. We do our due diligence trying to search that out. Is it offered through St. Jack? Is it offered through Alvin? Where can we find this for the kids? So our counselors are, you know, very well trained in that area of trying to locate sources, you know, for those students to be able to get what they want. And if not, sometimes it's just looking at, you talked about being an electrician and having your own business. So sometimes it might be, okay, we're going to point them in the direction of some business class or some entrepreneur classes so that they can build that part of their repertoire, and then help them, you know, post-secondary, you know, be able to point them in the right direction there. So it could take on many different looks, you know, at this point of, you know, trying to help them develop that pathway. Okay, I think I saw a hand over here.
Yeah, sort of on the same lines. So you just mentioned about, they can take classes, potentially cosmetology, drafting, welding, in College Mainland. I'm gonna admit, I have not looked at that in the academic planning guide, so I wouldn't know, is it mentioned in there? Is it?
Yes.
It's
Okay.
workforce dual credits.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious, because
And I want to warn you about that though, because when you go look at that, College of the Mainland fluctuates on what they officially offer as their dual credit courses, so it's going to look very limited. But if College of the Mainland offers it at all, okay, we can work to make that a dual credit course. It just takes a little more creativity on the part of counselor working with College of the Mainland to do that. So I don't want you to be turned off when you see the list.
No, I wouldn't. I just hadn't noticed it before, so I just
yeah.
was wondering,
Yeah.
I didn't know that was necessarily
Yeah.
an option until y'all said, come talk to you.
Okay. Anything else? Great questions.
Thank you.
Great
it
questions.
sounds like y'all been working really hard on this, so we really appreciate it.
Well, it's a constantly changing thing, so, I mean, we appreciate that,
Yeah.
but it's exciting for kids. It's all
Yeah.
about kids and getting them what they need, right? Yeah, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
In that regard, I have a ninth grader, and she started one program because she did the 4-year plan last year in 8th grade. And now it's like she started like changing her mind. And like, no, you can't change your mind.
She can't change her mind.
can.
Yes,
Yes,
she
let her
can't
change
change
her
her
mind.
mind. Yes,
And
yeah.
so it's like, that's what I'm saying, that it's just a progression.
Yes.
So whatever skills she's learned, it's gonna be able to move forward and
Absolutely.
whatever
Yes.
else
Yes,
she's changed.
absolutely.
Yes.
Again, it's all about that choice thing. You know, is she changing her mind because her friends aren't interested in that? Or, you know, is she really found that's not the field for her? So, yeah.
Okay, well, I just want to close saying thank you very much for coming to join us for our first course selection lunch and learn. Thank you. And I hope you learned something. We did. And we'll stick around for a few minutes. If you have any questions, you know how to find us now. All right. So thank you so much for coming.
Right.